Hey everyone, I'm Steve from GamersNexus.net, and we've got a quick news update for you from the AMD front. So just yesterday we posted a video about the Intel Skylake CPUs, the remainder of the Skylake family, following the 6700K and 6600K lineup. And today we're talking about AMD. So BioStar posted a new specifications page for their motherboards upcoming on the FM2 Plus platform. And that page revealed a couple of specs and items in the new AMD APU lineup. AMD already has had its Kaveri architecture out for some time now, debuting on the 7850K A10 APU and some A8 APUs as well, and that platform has matured, the architecture has matured. So more recently there was the Godaveri refresh, and Godaveri was AMD's internal name for the Kaveri refresh. So as far as we're concerned, it's Kaveri refresh, and those were shipped as the 7870K and similar. Basically add 20 to the SKU for each of the APUs, and that's what you got with Godaveri. And that was an update to the frequency offered on each chip. So we reviewed the 7870K recently and found that at its initial $150 price point, its usefulness was kind of debatable, especially when you looked at cheap DGPUs plus a cheap CPU, like AMD's own 860K Kaveri APU with the IGP disabled, or Intel's G3258 Pentium CPU. The new units that we're talking about today would be the A10 7890K, the Athon X4 880K, and the A8 7690K. So again, adding 20 to the SKU of the existing refreshed Kaveri and original Kaveri units. Starting with the one that is most interesting to me, the Athon X4 880K is a refresh of the 870K, which never shipped but was promised in 2015 at the midpoint, but we have not seen it on market yet. And that refreshed the 860K, which is a pretty popular CPU for those who don't need the IGP component of the APU and are looking to spend less than $100 on a CPU. Prices are TBD for the new APUs and the new CPU, the A80K, but giving a frame of reference, we can look at the existing lineup. So the 7870K, which is an A10 APU that the 7890K is refreshing, was priced at currently $140, but shipped at $150 originally, and we've seen it as low as $120 on Amazon during certain sales. The Athon X4 860K, because the 870 was never made publicly available, the 860K is a $75 CPU, so we would expect the 880K to hopefully still be less than $100, but you'd have to expect a slight hike over the $75 mark for the 860. And then the 7670K is priced at $118, with the other 7600 series, the 7650K, priced at $108 on Amazon or Newegg or wherever you want to look. The new units from AMD see a slight clock rate increase, which has been their tradition lately, with the R300 series and the Kaveri Godaveri lineup being announced. The 7890K sees a 200 megahertz increase over the 7870K, which it is replacing, and the 880K also sees a 200 megahertz increase over the 860K. It's only 100 megahertz over the unreleased 870K. As for the 7690K APU, that one's a bit more interesting. It is a 400 megahertz gain over the existing 7670K APU, which I believe is clocked at 3.3 gigahertz, so that is becoming more reasonable. And the product offerings in general, we'll see how they fall when the prices are announced, when the benchmarks are released. But from our standpoint, it is currently a very good value to buy a non-IGP APU like the 860K or the G3258 on the Intel side, and then couple that with a cheap DGPU. Even the 250X is substantially better than the APU IGPs and significantly better than the Intel IGPs, despite improvement with the HD530. This is something we've discussed in depth in the past, and we stand by it now, suggesting generally a DGPU solution plus a CPU solution if you want any kind of gaming at a reasonable frame rate. If you're just playing something like Dota 2 and you want to do it in maybe an HTPC with very limited space and a very low thermal headroom, then the APUs make some sense. But at their current prices, $140 for the 7870K, it's still not a great buy. It's something we would definitely consider at the $120-ish price point for the 7870K. Going forward, It looks like the AMD refresh will just continue to increase the clock rate slightly. That's all they've done with God of Area thus far. And the R300 series saw a thermal package improvement, which we've seen in God of Area as well, slightly. And also a move to a 50 megahertz pre-overclock on the R300 series. So AMD is really up against a wall in terms of its silicon and the potential offered by that silicon. There's not much more room to go, and they can't make the die physically larger because they're up against the fabrication process limit, which will not change until moving to a smaller process node. So that is all for the AMD APU and new CPU news. Definitely check the website for more information. You can get the full chart there as well that we've probably flashed up a few times now at this point. And if you like this kind of content, check the Patreon link in the post-roll video. We're really excited to have a lot of you backing us now, and we hope to continue rolling forward in the fashion of getting more user backers and building a community for the website. So as always, gamersnexus.net for full information, and check back to the channel for additional news, in-depth reviews, and other helpful guides. I will see you all next time.